Hey friends, today I am here to do my December TBR. I'm pretty excited because November was a great reading month for me. I read some of my favorite books of the year, and I had thought moving forward that I was going to do my wrap up at the beginning of my TBR videos, but I think last month was had so many good books that I'm going to try and do a separate wrap-up video. Fingers crossed. I may combine November and December's wrap-up. We'll see how that goes. But we're gonna go straight into my December TBR drawing. It's gonna be the last one of the year, and I'm just really ready to go. I've been in the mood of just sitting down and reading through books, and I haven't been in that mood for a while, so I'm hoping I get some good ones that I can just really dive into. So let's get going. Last month I did read all 8 books. I think 8 is more achievable for me than all 10 at this point, but I'm gonna still draw 10 just to give myself some choices, I guess, because I don't have any punishment for not reading aside that I just move that character back. Let's start with our first roll and see what we get. All right, we get to do a prompt drawing right off the bat, which I'm excited about. I always love doing these. So I am going to draw from the jar. Here we go. A giant statue blocks the way. Read a book over 400 pages. So I gotta find a giant classic. Ooh, that is not the way I wanted to start this Tbr drawing, but let me go look at my shelves. So I found a book, 450 pages. It is on my classics to read before 40, and that is Catch 22. It is a World War II book about an army that keeps saying you have to do more and more missions before you can be relieved of service. Relieved service? Be excused from duty? I don't know. Before you can quit. And the missions just keep getting more and more intense. And so the Catch 22 is that it says if you keep taking these missions, you're insane, but if you try and ask to be excused, then you're proven sane, and then you're ineligible to be relieved. I tend to enjoy historical fiction novels based around this time period, but I feel like I've read so many of them in the last few years that I just need a break from it, I think. However, we're gonna read another one. For roll number 2, I rolled a d20 for my series that are outside of the normal fantasy series set that I have. So I am going to count to the 16th card, and that's the book I'll be reading. It turned out to be a middle grade that I know I've read, but it's been so long I don't remember even the slightest thing about it. So this is Dragon Slippers, as a very nice, classic middle grade cover. I feel like it is by Jessica Day George, which I've read a lot of her books and I really enjoy her as a writer. The main character in this, her name is Creel, which I'm not about, but Creel's aunt sacrifices her to a dragon, and she keeps waiting for a knight or a hero to come save her. It's not happening. So she makes a bet with the dragon and wins a pair of dragon slippers that help her escape, and she goes off on her own adventure. Again, I don't know that this is one I'm super excited to pick up right now, but I feel like usually when I have that feeling, I enjoy the book once I get into it. It's more of the hurdle of getting into it. we have a book recommendation for roll number 3, and I'm going to choose a book that my dad gave me, I think last year, maybe, or the beginning of this year, and I haven't got around to yet. It is Go See the Principal by Gary Brooks. This is a like online comedian-ish slash principal who tells stories about his teaching experience, and I find them really hilarious, very relatable as a teacher. However, I don't know if this book is more like tips and tricks for being a teacher. It says true stories from school, but when I looked at like the table of contents, there were things like classroom placement and school supplies, age-appropriate behavior. So I'm very torn because reading about stories from other people's experiences as a classroom teacher is something I enjoy doing. Reading how-to about teaching feels a little bit more like textbook, and I am not in the mood for that. Okay, we rolled an animal prompt for the graphic novel character, and she has a little mouse. So I'm going to do the mouse level 2 card, and it turned out to be another middle grade mystery called The Ghost at Fossil Glen. The Ghost of Fossil Glen. I don't think I've actually read this one. I think I picked it up at a thrift store for my 5th grade classroom and then took it off the shelves when I started teaching 2nd grade, but never actually got around to reading it. It appears to follow a girl named Allie who is being haunted by a ghost who's begging for her help, and every night she watches the girl that's haunting her, fall to her death. So she's not really sure how she can help. Her friends don't seem to believe that she's being haunted, and she's just not sure in general what's happening. Okay, this is probably the role that I'm most excited about so far because I got another friend rec, and I am going with Gideon the Ninth. Last month I read House on the Cerulean Sea and fell in love with it. It is 100% worth the hype. That's at the time I was reading that, my boyfriend was reading Gideon the Ninth, and he loved this book, and we were both kind of like, I want you to read these books so that we can talk about them. So this month I'm reading Gideon the Ninth, and he's gonna read House on the Cerulean Sea, so we can both just spend time gushing about them. I'm actually doing this one on audiobook. I started it already, and I love the voices that they are doing for these characters. It's already super like sassy and just my vibes 100%. All right, guys, here's a clip of my cat Token picking the next book for me, a historical fiction. Oh, look, he's so ready to go. Okay, we have 3 historical fiction books, 1 kid's book, 1 or 2 kids' books, I guess. He's already sitting on 1, and 1 that I need to get from the library. So we have The Last Safe House, Captain Corelli's Mandolin, and The Whipping. Look. Can you not smell them? Look. Look. Okay, so it looks like we have the Whipping Boy. Still doesn't know where the other 2 are. It's incredible, really. Okay, I'm not sure about this pick. It's called The Whipping Boy. It's another book that I had on my shelves, got from a thrift store, and haven't picked up. So it follows Jeremy, who used to be an orphan on the streets until he was hired as the whipping boy for a prince. So apparently that means he takes like the punishments for the prince anytime the prince gets in trouble. Seems a little suspect. So obviously they are not friends. But then it says they get taken hostage and they have to learn to trust each other. So I'm interested to see. I feel like this seems like an outdated book. The last 4 books for this drawing are going to be a mega monster. I am going to draw a monster out and pick 4 books because I rolled a 4. So I have to, oh, okay, this is a good monster. Rainbow. I have to pick 4 books that have different colored covers for my fantasy series. I'm gonna try and pick books that continue my series because I need to work on that. Knowing myself, I probably won't, but anyway, let's pick some books. I'm gonna start with a red book. This is Cruel Beauty by Rosemond Hodge, and it is actually the first book in a series, so I'm immediately going back on what I said, but I think it's a duology. This is a Beauty and the Beast / Persephone retelling. I'm not sure how those things are going to intertwine, but basically the main character, Nyx, has known since she was like 9 that she was going to have to marry the demon overlord and try and kill him. He's had several wives before. None of them have seemed to succeed, but he has basically trapped her whole village and world in this like bubble, and they can't escape. He does bargains with people and they always turn out to go horribly wrong, and that's actually how she found herself in this situation. I love a good retelling. I don't know if this is going to lean heavily into Beauty and the Beast or Persephone or be a mix of both, but the premise sounds good. So, okay. I may be biting off more than I can chew with this one, but for a yellowish cover, I'm going to go with Eldest. This is the second in the Aragon inheritance cycle. I read Aragon for the second time somewhere around the beginning of this year. I had never read past Aragon in this series, so this will be my first read of Eldest. I do have all 4 books, so I want to get through them. I feel like I've heard mixed reviews about the series as a whole, and so I'm a little bit hesitant going in. I'm worried that it's such a thick book and I may not enjoy it, but it's such a classic read. Okay, I found a green book, which is another first book in a series. This has been on my shelves forever. I think I got this book like in middle school and never read it. It's been a long time, y'all. It needs to be read. This is the Book of 3 by Lloyd Alexander. I recognize that author's name, but I can't think of like what he's written. This follows Taryn, who is assistant pig keeper, and he is in charge of the only oracle pig in this land. So he finds it boring, even though it's like, you know, a top-notch pig. He's still taking care of pigs. And he wants to go on adventures. But then the pig gets loose, and that's the beginning of the adventure he's always dreamed of. There is a knight with a skull for a face who is going to be popping up, and I'm pretty excited about that. All right, the last book has a purple cover and maybe purple, bluish purple. It is one of my Discworld books from the Night's Watch. This is Jingo. This is book 4. I read Feet of Clay in November, and I'm moving right along, you know? I'm going to read the back of this because they always give just a tiny little blurb, and I think this one is pretty funny. It says, Discworld goes to war with armies of sardines, warriors, fishermen, squid, and at least one very camp follower. So I couldn't tell you a thing about what it's about. I love the Night Watch so far. If you have not picked up Guards, please do for my sake, because it's a wonderful series. So these are my 4 for my rainbow stack. I think that's a pretty good mix. And here they are all together for this month. Goal is to read all the books on my shelf and at least know if I want them on my shelf. And I think this will be a good month to see, like, are some of these books staying on these shelves. That's it for this month, and that's going to be it for this year as far as TBR drawings. I would love to know what you're finishing off the year with, because I feel like a lot of people go into December with goals in mind. So what are your goals? What are you trying to finish up? Let me know, and I will see y'all later. Bye!